This dresser was a lost cause until a no sanding hack turned this into a designer-worthy piece that anyone can do. This project is simple, quick, and easy, and perfect for anyone looking to upgrade their dresser in a weekend. In this video, I'm going to show you how I updated and transformed a dresser that was ready to head to the trash using HGTV paint and a primer that saved me hours of sanding. So as you can see, this dresser literally looked like it had its best days. At one point, I had decided that I was going to paint it and then got frustrated with the painting process. And for about a year, it stayed in the garage looking like this. But I figured I'll give it one more try to salvage it before throwing it out in the dumpster because it was in really good condition. The drawers opened well. It was not banged up in any way. It simply needed to look more modern, fresh, and new. All right, so I took a trip to Lowe's to see if I could find something that can salvage this ugly dresser before it made it to the dumpster. And I found this HGTV cabinet and furniture paint. Now, this was the first time I'd ever seen something like this before. And I'm used to using other type of chalk paints to transform other things in my home. One thing I don't really like about chalk paint is that it doesn't really give that factory furnish or the factory finish. And you often sometimes see brush strokes. But this paint promised that you will not see brush strokes and it would make it look almost like that was the factory finish in the end. That was a good thing going. The other thing that I really liked about this is that it allowed you to pick the color you wanted. So I basically wanted to make this a more modern piece and looked for colors that are trending now and more modern. And I've always been wanting to find and do something in green. So I found a Lowe's color that was perfect for this project and had them make the paint into that color. Now, I would say I had already known that I was going to get green, but if you don't know what color you want yet, it's okay to take a few samples home and then sit with it for a little bit until it vibes with you, because no one wants to do a whole paint project and hate the color in the end. Now, obviously for me, this green was going to be a perfect backdrop in the room that it was going to be in. I absolutely love this green. Now, the paint is about $34 a quart, and I figured I would only need 1 quart because I'm going to be priming the piece. And also, it's not a huge dresser. I figured I would have more than enough with a quart. So for $34 to be able to transform this dresser, I thought that was a good deal versus having to go out and buy another dresser, which would be several $100s. I brought the paint home and brought the piece outside so that it would be much easier for us to be able to move around and do it quickly. As I said, I wanted to do this in a weekend. I just didn't have the time or patience to have this piece sitting around for weeks on end. And more importantly, I absolutely did not want to be sanding one piece on this at all. So we bought the Kills primer, which I use on everything because one, it goes on fast, it dries even more quickly, and it does the job it's supposed to do, which is prime the piece and get you ready for painting. So here we are priming the piece and making sure that we're getting all the dark parts of the old dresser covered in primer so that we can go on and put the HGTV paint on there. I actually ended up doing 2 coats of priming, but I actually think that was overkill. However, the primer dries so quickly that it was not a big deal. Now, one thing I would tell you is I'm using a roller brush because let me tell you, the roller brushes are your key to quickness, easiness, and having a brush-free paint finish on your furniture. So I always try to use a roller brush versus a paintbrush because that makes a more smoother finish. Now, there are going to be areas that you cannot use the roller brush because it's too big or it's too wonky in those areas, and you're going to need to use a small hand brush. But those are very few, and you can get those done in a quick matter of time once you have roller painted with the roller brush already. Now, I don't know if the HGTV furniture paint requires priming, but I'll tell you that hack saves me everything. One biggest issue for me in painting some of these pieces is the sanding and prep. And so removing all of those sanding preps that would probably have been needed if I wasn't using a primer is key. It's the hack that saves me time and it allows for my pieces to look like designer end finishes once you're completed. And now it's time to put this paint on. Oh my goodness, the color is amazing. It's gorgeous and it just looks so high end. The transformation is immediate. I'll tell you this. I absolutely was ready to throw this dresser away, but the moment we started painting, I absolutely was falling in love with it again because, as I said before, the dresser was in immaculate condition except for the outdated finish and paint and the horrible hack job of a DIY that had been started before. But I would give a couple of tips here. Because the paint happens to be more runnier than usual, you have to work fast or else you're going to get lots of runs. So one thing I would say is that you don't put too much paint on your roller brush. Make sure you're wiping off any excess before going over. But if you do put a little extra paint on there, make sure you work with the product quickly and wipe up all spills or else it will harden, which will then require you to sand to a smooth finish again and repaint. So besides that, however, this paint was pretty easy to use. Now, one of the things that they guarantee or they claim in the paint is that it will stand up to knocks and bruises and areas where there's where there's a lot of traffic and things like that. So I have been using this piece for now about the last 3 months, and my kids really use it a lot. And I would say that there's been no denting of the paint. There is definitely no chipping. And that is amazing, because we didn't have to use a top coat after we finished painting, which is another amazing thing. Also, the paint dried super quickly, which for me is definitely a bonus, because that allows me to finish my projects quickly, because ain't nobody got time for the endless waiting of paint drying while you need to complete a project. So for me, I am absolutely happy about this and will definitely use this again. For me, reasons I love this paint is because, one, it dried quickly. Two, the surface definitely did not have any paint strokes. Now, it definitely looks like a factory finish versus someone who did a DIY on the weekend. And as I said, always, luxury does not have to come at a high price tag. You just have to know what you're doing and use the right products. And I will say this HGTV cabinet and furniture paint is definitely a product that I would want to use again. To complete the project, of course, we had to update the hardware because, I don't know, those things were outdated at best. So I didn't want to spend too much money on it. And so I bought a pack of 12 knobs right from Lowe's, and they were only about $1.50 a piece. As you can tell, it's a lot of knobs in here. I didn't bother putting new holes in there. I just used the old holes they had to keep the project simple. I just screw them out and replace them with the new knobs. And the new knobs definitely elevate the piece and make it look more modern, more sleek, and definitely keeping it as a beautiful centerpiece in the game room. I know for a lot of women who want to try to do things in the home, sometimes feel overwhelmed with all the different products out there and what they can use and not use and what it will do, especially if DIY is something new. However, I promise you, this project is simple, it's easy, and you can do this in a matter of hours if you have the time on the weekend. The HGTV cabinet and furniture paint works miracles. Put a primer on your piece and you will be amazed at how quick you can transform your piece. Adding some new hardware always makes things look amazing and looks up to date and modern and brings in the style that you want in the piece. I'm really happy I didn't throw this piece out because it really does help with the storage in the game room. Kids can put their games and electronics in here, but it also brings a different level of luxury to this game room. The color is amazing and it looks like a piece that I would have paid a lot of money for. So let me know in the comments below if you've ever tried painting a piece before and what products did you use to make it easier for yourself, or if you've not had the best of luck in repainting furniture but want to give it a try in this new year.